Good morning. Today we are making the pannekoeken, the big Dutch pancake, the oven pancake, whatever it is you want to call it, it's great. So the first thing we're going to do is turn on the oven to 450 degrees. If you have a convect feature or convect roast feature, that's what we like to use. Start with the apple. Green apples are nice, the Granny Smith apples, really any apple works. When you cut the apple, I like to cut it just on either side of the stem, wide enough I'm going to miss the core, and then slice it relatively thin. Then you can cut on either side of the core with a little V shape, discard that, and then these are nice and easy to slice thin straight down the side. Okay, that's ready. Throw that in our cast iron pan. And we need about 3 tablespoons of butter in the pan. And then we'll go spread this out. I'm going to throw it on the stove to melt the butter and start to cook these apples. Yeah, maybe medium heat on your range. I'm making 2 because 1 is simply not enough. Alright, so done with the chopping. This aside. So we have an 8-cup Pyrex. This is for a double batch, so if you want to do a single batch, that'll work just fine. We have 8 eggs for a double batch. Put the eggs in first, is what I like to do. And we have 1 cup of flour, put in next. I usually reuse this then for the milk, but I've already got the milk poured. And 1 cup of milk on top. A pinch of salt. I think the recipe probably calls for half a teaspoon or something like that, but you know, that's perfect. I think the recipe calls for pure vanilla extract at 1/4 teaspoon for a single batch or a half teaspoon for a double batch, but that looks about right to me. Cinnamon isn't in there. We modified the recipe, a couple shakes for cinnamon. And it calls for a couple tablespoons of sugar. We use agave. I just put about that much in. Lauren's really excited about the pannekoeken, even though she can't have any. And some coconut oil. I like to put in a couple tablespoons-ish, you know, in the double batch. Maybe about that much. I might do a little bit more. It might be time to stir these. Just trying to get these cooked up. Then we got our stick blender. You have to have a stick blender to do this right. If you have a regular blender, you don't have this, you can go on Amazon and order one. They're great for soups or for pannekoekens, which they get the most use of around here. And if you don't, you can just put this in a regular blender, but it just makes a big mess, and it works fine, but this is a lot better. we're trying to do is obviously mix the ingredients, but the bigger thing here is we want to whip a bunch of air into the pannekoeken, into the batter itself. Scraping the sides to try to make sure to get all that flour out. I'm still whipping it just to try to get it. It'll thicken up just a little bit. Not much. I think that's about right. And our apples are getting close to done. Some of them have caramelized a little bit on the bottom. That's fine. You don't want to burn them because burnt apples aren't very good. That looks about right, so we'll turn the oven off, or the stove off. And I gotta just kind of guess, you know, how much is in each one. The one pan, of course, is bigger than the other. It is kind of important that you have it reasonably thick on the bottom. I think one of these is a 12-inch and one's an 8-inch, so we have quite a disparity there. If you don't have cast iron skillets, you can just buy them at Lodge. From Lodge is where we get ours. I think it's lodgemanufacturing.com. Made in the United States, they're pre-seasoned. It's the best way to go for this and for a lot of stuff. The oven's not fully heated up yet, that's fine. We're just going to throw these in on the center rack. And maybe about 10 minutes. You're going to want to watch them depending how hot your oven is. It might call for 15 minutes. If you have a little lower temp, you don't have a roast convect. But we'll just set our timer for 9 minutes and check on it and see if it's done. Alright, our timer's off. It's been 9 minutes. I think they're done. You still kind of want a little bit of a jiggle in them. This one, yeah, they're both perfect here. They could go a little bit longer or a little bit less to change the texture a bit. But you should be able to just scoop them out. We sometimes like to cut them right in half in the pan. A little easier to get out on these big ones at least. And if you put enough butter in, then they'll come right out. Sometimes they fall apart like that, but that's alright. So, hope you enjoy.